Welcome to the making of a great transition. Today we are joined by Caroline Kammerbeck. She's the Vice President of Marketing, Communications and Public Affairs for Energy Systems at the DNV. She has been closely involved in creating a new short film on the energy transition, which I encourage all of you to look at, and we will share the link later. And the film imagines the future where the right choices were made, showing what's possible if we act boldly now, and why the next 25 years will decide who leads and who is left behind. Welcome, Caroline. I'm looking forward to just talk with you on here about your reason behind the film.
Thank you.
So first, I'm extremely pleased to have you. You're a friend of Charles, and you've been working with for a long, long time, and really are a leader in this space to us and to me. If I'll just start really quick context around this. So what inspired the idea behind creating this film?
Yes, at that time we were looking, okay, how can we position DNV as a partner for decarbonization? I think that's how it all started. But then there were two things that became really important for this project. One was a research from Nature, which is a big research company organization, saying that 80% of the global population is worried about climate change. So people are worried, but they don't talk about it. And that also, and because of that, you see that governments are not going fast enough with the energy transition. So that research, which I came across, was one thing. And the other one, we were publishing every year DNV's Energy Transition Outlook, where we look at what is the most likely scenario where we will end up with the transition. For 8 years, we were telling the world that we're not going to make the 1.5 degrees. We won't stay within. We will probably overshoot. I told my colleagues also in DNV, are we now going to make another report saying the same, or are we going to do something about the transition? That was where it started to become something different and more purpose-led, I would say. And the other one is, as 80% of the population is convinced of the big issue, then in a change program, in fact, the energy transition is a big change program, then you need to give people a perspective. How good will it look like when we go this route? And that is, I think, what we try to do with this film is people understand the big issue and the problem. They need perspective to be able to change.
Interesting. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, and the research that you mentioned, the first reason that most people are in fact scared of the energy transition. That sounds, to me, it's a conceptual thing. It's so hard to get your head around it. Yeah, it's a interesting thing. I didn't know about the statistics. So there are many ways, of course, to approach marketing and communications and like in what you're doing in this case. But why did you choose a short film to tell the story rather than a report or some other kind of campaign?
Yeah, of course, reports we do all the time. But in this case, what we wanted to do is, let's say, mobilize the silent mass. So this big 80% of the population is massive. And if you want governments to do more, you need to mobilize the masses. And we wanted to make the energy transition more emotional, really touch the hearts of the people. Because when you think, oh, wow, this is great, and I want to join this, I want this to happen. And when it becomes emotional, you're more likely to go for it and to do something about it. So that's why we decided to make a film. And we were very inspired by the filmmaker who made films for other corporations and that were really emotional. We thought, okay, he could be, and he is Uwe Keizer. He can help us build that story and really touch the hearts of the people. So it's to bring that perspective, but also make it more emotional and impactful.
Immobilize the silent mass with emotions. So as it's obviously is the way forward. So it sounds like you chose the right format for this. But on the format still, so and how it can accomplish its goals. How do you hope this film will influence decision makers differently from a technical paper? A technical paper obviously doesn't have a lot of emotions.
Well, what I hope, that comes back also in the story of the film, where we make it happen as society. We are doing this, is that people get enthusiastic and they also, choose that they stimulate their governments to go in the right direction. That is in the end what we would like to achieve with this. This first 6-minute film has been viewed more than 9 million times on YouTube and LinkedIn, but we want to go much bigger. And what we really would like is people have conversations about this, and not people like me and you who are in the energy sector all the time, but especially those who are not into the transition in their daily lives, to really talk about it.
9 million views is quite impressive. Did you expect that number? Many viewers?
Well, we hoped, but we didn't expect it. But we have, I don't know how many billions of people in the world, so this is just a small fraction in the end. We're very happy about it, of course, and it sounds good, but it's just a start. At least for me, it's just a start to ensure that we make this bigger. And there is also the 18 minutes documentary, which is even more balanced and more clear, and also emotional, by the way. I would invite people to watch that too.
Yeah, of course, everything is relative. You're right. Compared to the billions living, 9 million isn't a lot, but I think it is a good performance for sure. But a little bit into the film's vision. So if you dig into that, and in the film, then it imagines a future where the right choices were made.
Yes.
Which decision did you most want to highlight?
The decision is that in the end, there will be a change in society where it's not a small percentage of the people that is behind this, like Extinction Rebellion or so, but that we all think this is good for us. And that is, it's talk about it much more, and that governments in the end take the lead. Because it is a system change. And maybe to come back on one of your earlier questions, and which is maybe also interesting for people working in marketing and branding, is what we've done very differently. If you look at people working in the energy industry, usually you see white wind turbines against blue skies, and it's all very polished. And what we've tried to do, this energy transition, is maybe one of the biggest achievements that we have to make as mankind. We try to portray it in the way it is. It's almost like the Industrial Revolution. It's very industrial. It's very hard work. A lot of fantastic people working in it. A lot of jobs also. So we've also tried to position, let's say, the energy transition in a different way, which is more closer to what it is, in fact.
Thank you. A good point. My next question. So we've talked about, you and I and you as Charles, you talked about the role that communicators or marketers can have in the energy transition. So my question is a little bit related to that. In the film, you're stressing that no single company or country can do this alone,
No.
The energy transition. Where do you see collaboration working well today, and where is it still lacking?
Yeah, there is so much going on. I think you see a lot of cooperation between those who make batteries, large-scale batteries, and the grids. You see the heavy industry stepping into carbon capture and storage, and also looking at hydrogen. So there are lots of industries talking bilateral. I think we need the government to bring it together, to collaborate more and take the right decisions, and really look at the energy transition from a systemic perspective. You also see cooperation between countries. If you look at Europe, for example, I think the European Union really tries to take the lead here and set standards for all the countries. But it starts sometimes at local level, and there is one country which we don't hear so much about, but it's Chile in Latin America, where they don't have any oil and gas in that country, but they are very flat and they have a lot of wind. They're also quite vulnerable for climate change. And there you see that the larger public has said, we want this. And then you see that the government also starts to act. And then you get this flying wheel. And I think that's where we need to go. But it's both within the countries, but also at really small, at home. I also convinced my neighbors who have their house is in the sun, my house is not. So why don't you have solar panels? And that's how you also influence at the personal level. I also invited them, all my neighbors, to watch the film and have a conversation about it. I have a conversation. I'm now a member of Rotary, and we also I present the film there to have a conversation, and I think it's having those conversations that are so important.
No, I like that. It's a lot of research has gone into how people handle responsibility. I mean, the lawmakers forces us, and there's code of conduct that influences us. But at the top of all of it is ourselves and our individual choices. So I like that fact that you what you said now. So I mean, it's a 6-minute video, and then you have another 80-minute long, with a lot of content and a lot of messaging around it. But if listeners remember just one message from the film, what should that message be?
Yeah, the message also comes back in the film, is talk to each other. It all starts with this conversation. That is, I think, so important. And you see now also, of course, with all the geopolitical things happening in the world, lots of conversations about the role of oil and gas and wind, and I think it's by talking to each other also, within the oil and gas industry and within the wind industry, how can we do this together instead of all being in silos? Can we do it together? So talk to each other at all levels, me with my neighbors, but also, here in the city of Arnhem, where I live, but also global level and also at the national level. So it's at all levels. Is talk to each other is extremely important.
Sounds simple, but it's actually
Or is it too whooshy whooshy?
talk.
Yeah, but it is also, it is also doing it and then setting up. Yeah, I have other ideas where you see in many companies, for example, they have the groups, for example, of the young employees who gather together. Could we also, for example, for certain companies, we just say, hey, I'm Caroline, I'm from DNV. Can we show the film in your company? Can we have then a conversation with 300-400 people? That in the end, this is also how change goes. It's just by sharing the message and having that conversation.
Well, I'm just thinking, am I missing out on something? Am I not asking the right question? Which question am I forgetting, Caroline? What should I be asking that I didn't ask you?
Oh, that is what my dream would be, Frederick, is why as an industry we don't do a campaign together. That would be my dream, because I see we've seen the fantastic Vattenfall commercial with Samuel Jackson. I see fantastic TV commercials from Scottish power companies. There is so much happening, and the same here in Netherlands, but we all have our individual campaigns, and how good would it be if we would join forces? Yeah, that's a big thing, of course, but it's also about positioning the energy transition in the right way and creating enthusiasm for it, for the good of all, of course.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great point. And of course, we've been doing this for a decade now, charts, and the topic always comes up, from the energy space itself, energy industry, both in the States and in Europe. So people don't like us. What can we do? But on a holistic level, we don't do anything together. So
Yeah.
So I like that point a lot, and that should be a vision for us and for us to think about. So thanks for sharing your insights and your inspiring work and your very honest opinion on the future, what you like to see. And for our audience, there is a link to the film in the podcast description, and I encourage everyone to watch it. You will not regret it. And it will also be previewed at Charts in Istanbul in October. And I'm looking forward to seeing you there and having a discussion with your peers and with Caroline and the DNV team, of course. Thanks, Karen.
Thank you.